South Africa has some of the most beautiful beaches in the world, with scenic views and diverse ecosystems. Yet lurking beneath the stunning exterior are hidden dangers amidst the depths of its coastal waters. The South African shores are also the habitat of some of the apex predators of the deep, such as great whites, tiger sharks, and bull sharks. Although there are attempts to reduce encounters between these predators and humans, there are still moments where they unavoidably collide, leading to terrifying situations for individuals who happen to be in the wrong place at the wrong time. These instances have resulted in some of the most disturbing shark attacks in the history of South Africa. A stretch of ocean brimming with life can be found off the rugged South African coast, where the Atlantic and Indian Oceans converge. Here, bold explorers from all corners of the globe come together, enticed by the possibility of exciting interactions with the sea's most powerful creatures. One of them is Colin Thomas, an experienced adventurer who craves adrenaline. Colin and his friends eagerly wait on the ship's deck, filled with a mix of excitement and nervousness, as the sun rises slowly, casting orange and gold hues. Today signifies the conclusion of extensive months of getting ready for a cage diving excursion to ultimately encounter one of the ocean's top predators, the great white shark. Excitement fills the air as the crew gets ready for the day's adventure. Wetsuits are put on, harnesses fastened, and cameras prepared to capture all the thrilling moments. With anticipation gleaming in his eyes, Colin surveys the surroundings, the shining ocean, the rugged coastline in the distance, and the electric atmosphere in the air. While the boat navigates towards the planned dive spot, Colin experiences a familiar adrenaline rush in his body. The salty breeze tousles his hair as he eagerly waits to encounter one of the ocean's most famous creatures while gazing at the horizon. Hours go by in a whirlwind of anticipation and excitement until at last the boat arrives at its destination. The team quickly gets to work, setting up the cage and smoothly lowering it into the water. Colin feels his heart race with anticipation as he prepares for the most thrilling dive of his life. Excitedly, Colin puts on his wetsuit and fastens his harness, getting ready mentally for what's to come. As he enters, the robust and impressive cage stands tall in front of him, prepared to lower him into the ocean's depths. While the cage descends into the water, Colin experiences a strong sense of excitement. Beneath him, he spotted many vibrant fish swimming, yet the predator he sought was nowhere to be found. Suddenly he notices a large silhouette gliding effortlessly beneath the surface of the water. It is a 15-foot great white shark, the dominant predator of the ocean. Colin experiences a moment of fear but quickly becomes fascinated by the shark's impressive strength and elegance. This is exactly what he desired: to witness nature in its finest form, to experience the thrill of being in proximity to such an amazing sea creature. However, as Colin is relishing the underwater world, a negative event occurs. All of a sudden, the cage abruptly shakes, and Colin immediately notices that something is wrong. He starts to panic as he realizes something is wrong. Desperately, he gazes upwards at the surface, where the crew is yelling and making frantic gestures. At that moment, he notices a broken steel line dangling from the side of the cage. A line that was meant to tether the cage to the boat. But it was loose because of a malfunction while the cage was being lowered. He feels his heart beating rapidly in his chest while observing with terror the shark circling nearby, drawn by the commotion and sight of the metal enclosure floating underwater. Colin's mind races as time appears to move slowly, looking for an escape from his underwater situation. The twisted metal bars of the damaged cage serve as a somber reminder of the imminent danger lurking close by, offering little hope. However, Colin remains steadfast in his refusal to surrender. Summoning all his courage, Colin starts to look for a way to get away. His hands frantically search the bars of the cage, looking for a potential weakness in its design that could give him a chance to escape the enclosure. Just when things appear to be at their worst, he suddenly sees a larger gap in the cage's bars, only just wide enough for him to squeeze through. Refusing to give up, Colin forces his way through the narrow opening, disregarding the intense agony of his skin scraping against the merciless metal. He emerges from the cage wreckage, putting in a last burst of energy, his lungs craving air as he kicks fiercely towards the surface. He sees a whirlwind of movement and noise surrounding him: the turbulent water, The far-off calls of the sailors, the unending thumping of his own heart. Finally, he emerges from the water, taking in deep breaths as the comforting sunlight bathes him in a sense of liberation. However, the challenge is not finished yet. The shark, determined to capture its prey, follows Colin as he emerges to the surface. Colin spots the shark's fins sticking out of the water surrounding where he is located. Colin always positions himself facing the shark, understanding its predatory behavior. With every pass, the fin moves nearer to where Colin is positioned. Colin slowly backs away from the shark, ensuring that he is constantly maintaining eye contact with it. From afar, the boat spots Colin drifting in the ocean and zooms towards him. Within moments, the boat reaches Colin, and the crew also spots the circling shark. The boat's captain readies his bang stick, an underwater shotgun, and gets Colin ready, letting him know they are ready to defend against the shark if it decides to strike. All of a sudden, the shark shifts course, detecting the approaching large ship getting closer to its target. Due to the shark's altered behavior, the crew hastily tosses a buoy connected to a rope and swiftly brings Colin back to the deck. After being lifted onto the boat by the crew, Colin slumps from fatigue with his body bruised and beaten but miraculously unharmed. He is still alive. While lying on the deck and looking up at the vast sky, Colin feels deeply grateful for the opportunity to start over. The encounter has transformed him, increasing his understanding of how delicate life is and the marvels of the natural world. The stunning Table Mountain in Cape Town was illuminated by the morning sun, casting a magical view over the busy city. Situated on the rugged coast of South Africa, Cape Town was a city that juxtaposed towering skyscrapers with the wild beauty of nature. Michaela Taylor, a young surfer whose essence reflected the wild ocean, discovered a feeling of belonging in the vibrant streets and lively shores of her urban environment. She saw Cape Town as more than simply a city. It represented a certain way of life, a location where she could fully embrace the ocean's rhythm. While on her way to her usual spot for surfing, Michaela was amazed by the beautiful scenery around her. She gazed at the expanse of the Atlantic Ocean's blue waters ahead of her, reflecting the morning sun while seagulls echoed in the distant salty air. Arriving at the secluded cove where she enjoyed surfing, Michaela experienced a surge of excitement. The waves in this location were known for their strong power and determined nature, and Michaela enjoyed the challenge they presented. With her trusty surfboard by her side, Michaela headed out into the pristine waters, experiencing the refreshing touch of the sea surrounding her. With eager eyes, she scanned the horizon in search of the ideal wave to ride, her heart filled with anticipation and pounding. However, as Michaela surfed on top of a huge wave towards the beach, her feeling of complete happiness was ruined by a sudden motion below her. A chilling fear ran down Michaela's back as a sinister shadow lurked below the water's surface. Before she could react, the bull shark swiftly surged upwards, its large mouth snapping just inches from her dangling feet. Michaela felt her heart racing with frantic energy as she paddled away quickly, sensing the surge of adrenaline in her bloodstream. Bull sharks were well known for their aggressive behavior, often seen swimming in the waters of Cape Town, hunting for food. They are top predators, able to cause significant harm with just one bite due to their strong jaws and sharp teeth. While attempting to evade the relentless predator, Michaela felt a sudden pain in her leg when the shark's teeth broke through her skin. She screamed in pain and flailed wildly, trying to escape its grasp. The shark's teeth ripped her wetsuit apart easily, causing deep wounds on her leg that bled into the water in crimson trails. Michaela struggled to remain alert as her vision became hazy with pain, her thoughts overwhelmed by the suddenness of the assault. Michaela gathered up all her energy to grab her surfboard, struggling with the built-in electronic shark repellent device as she did so. She quickly activated a switch, sending a strong electric pulse that shocked the shark's sensitive receptors, making it let go of her leg. Struggling to breathe, Michaela kicked fiercely towards the top, her wounded leg leaving a trail of blood in the water. However, the shark was not willing to surrender without a fight. Driven by an innate instinct, it circled to launch another assault, never losing sight of its injured victim. Michaela resisted with all her remaining energy, using her surfboard as a makeshift shield against the unending attack. Repeatedly, the shark attacked her, its mouth closing just inches away from her. As time went by, Michaela's injuries worsened, causing a searing pain to spread through her body. The salt water entering her wounds caused increasing pain. The sharp teeth of the shark caused deep puncture injuries in her leg, cutting through muscle and sinew. Blood mixed with ocean water, forming a red cloud that surrounded the surfer's battered form. Michaela's cries resonated through the water, a chilling mixture of agony and terror that traveled through the vast emptiness of the ocean. The woman sensed the shark's warm breath on her body, its innate craving pushing it nearer to its injured target. However, Michaela persisted in not giving in to the darkness that loomed over her, determined not to be consumed by it. Focused on staying alive, she used all her remaining strength to keep the shark away, feeling her muscles burn with fatigue. Michaela's strength was gradually waning. Placing all her faith in the shark repellent, she activated the device again, aiming to scare off the aggressive shark. Just as the shark was about to strike once more, it abruptly changed course and swam away. Perplexed, Michaela took advantage of the situation by getting on her board and beginning to paddle towards the shore. With a new resolve, she delved into her innermost being, tapping into the final bit of energy she possessed. Using all her strength, Michaela paddled vigorously, feeling the burning sensation in her arms as she pushed herself towards safety. She felt relief and triumph as the shore neared steadily with every passing moment. Finally, after a long time, Michaela felt the comforting feeling of sand under her feet as she made her way onto the safety of the beach. Sinking onto the gentle sand, she let out a sigh of relief, her body shaking from a mix of fatigue and excitement. While lying down and gazing at the expansive sky overhead, Michaela couldn't shake a deep feeling of thanks. She confronted her biggest fear and came out on top, demonstrating to both herself and others that her strength surpassed even her expectations. Immediately, a group of beachgoers noticed Michaela lying bloodied on the sand. With a mixture of panic and urgency, the group called for help. In just a matter of minutes, Michaela was being loaded into an ambulance that would take her to the hospital. After a few weeks, Michaela was released from the hospital. Her leg bore the scars of the gruesome encounter with the shark. But despite the injuries, she was thankful for the second chance at life. Rusty Ludlow, 48 years old and an experienced deep-sea diver, lives in the coastal city of Durban, South Africa, on the beautiful shores of the Indian Ocean. After spending his whole life traveling the sea, Rusty has strong connections to Durban. Raised in this maritime center since birth, his enduring interest in delving into the depths of the ocean has been a lifelong endeavor. The busy harbor of the city was filled with hustle and bustle, with fishing vessels and cargo ships coming and going, their crews getting ready for voyages across the ocean. However, among the busy city life, there was a peaceful and beautiful aspect to discover on Durban's shoreline. Untouched shores extended beyond the horizon, with their shining sands calling out to both beachgoers and surfers. Further out from the coastline, the mysterious depths of the Indian Ocean's dark blue waters contained countless secrets, just waiting to be explored by the courageous few willing to explore them. In the summer of 2000, Rusty decided to go on a solo adventure to investigate an enigmatic underwater cave system near the shore. It was a journey he had been longing for, an opportunity to reveal the hidden mysteries of the ocean depths. Rusty experienced a blend of both anticipation and anxiety as he readied himself for his journey. Despite being aware of the risks hidden in the abyss, his curiosity propelled him to venture onward, compelling him to expand the limits of discovery. Rusty carefully inspected his gear, making sure his oxygen tank was completely filled, and his diving suit was in excellent shape. Before heading into the ocean, he carefully placed all his equipment into his reliable dive bag, making sure everything was packed correctly. Rusty plunged underwater as the bright sun casts a shimmering glow on the water's surface above. While he went deeper down, the sunlight started to disappear and was soon replaced by the unsettling darkness of the underwater realm. The cave system's entrance stood out in front, casting a dark shadow in the deep blue waters. Rusty experienced a mix of excitement and fear as he neared the unknown, pulling him further into its depths. Deep within the cave, Rusty encountered a complex network of tunnels and rooms, with each one becoming increasingly enigmatic. The absolute quiet was overwhelming, only interrupted by his breathing and occasional water droplets falling from the cave roof. Rusty proceeded with caution, staying alert as he maneuvered through the winding passages. As he was moving forward, Rusty sensed movement shifting in his peripheral vision. He spun around, feeling his heart race in his chest as he scanned the darkness for any indication of danger. However, there was only a spiral of silt below the water, indicating activity in the vicinity. Rusty ignored the feeling of unease, thinking it was just nerves as he ventured deeper into the cave. Rusty was completely clueless that a 12-foot-long tiger shark was lurking in the shadows, its icy gaze fixed on him with predatory intent. Tiger sharks were well known for their relentless appetite and fearless attitude. These relentless predators would eat anything in their path. While Rusty moved through the cave, he couldn't get rid of the sensation of someone watching him. Each shadow appeared to contain a concealed peril, every echo a possible risk. Moving fast, he hurriedly searched for an escape route through the maze-like corridors, his heart pounding. Suddenly, a massive tiger shark appeared before him, effortlessly gliding through the water with deadly precision. Rusty came to a sudden halt, his breath catching in his throat as he locked eyes with the predator's cold, unyielding gaze. In a sudden, quick movement, the shark quickly moved forward, snapping its jaws closed just a few inches away from Rusty's legs. With his heart racing, Rusty kicked desperately to create a gap between him and the persistent predator. The shark's teeth lightly touched Rusty's diving suit, creating rough tears and causing blood to form small clouds of crimson in the water. Rusty felt a sudden jolt of pain in his leg, but he ignored it and concentrated on getting away from the danger approaching from behind. However, the shark kept going without stopping, its strong tail pushing it forward with unstoppable force. Rusty could sense the surge of water as the shark approached, its sharp teeth shining in the cave's faint light. Desperate to stay alive, Rusty quickly entered a tight tunnel, feeling the rough walls scraping against his diving gear and his skin as he passed through. The shark swam closely behind, its huge body occupying the tunnel, creating a feeling of suffocating fear. Rusty's heart pounded with fear as he dove further into the shadows, feeling his lungs ache for oxygen. The tunnel appeared to go on endlessly, curving and winding without a visible end. At the moment he believed he couldn't continue, Rusty noticed a dim shine of light in the distance. With a sense of renewed hope, he continued to propel himself forward despite his muscles protesting against the overwhelming exhaustion. At last, Rusty made his way out of the tunnel into a spacious chamber, the journey feeling endless. Struggling to breathe, he frantically scanned the area, seeking any indication of the shark. However, much to his comfort, the creature was not visible anywhere. Rusty's heart kept pounding in his chest as he emerged back to the surface, his mind reeling from the adrenaline-fueled intense experience. Emerging from the water, he took a deep breath of the clean air, experiencing a wave of relief washing over him. Upon returning to land, Rusty fell onto the sandy shore, his body shaking from both fatigue and relief. He had braved the perils of the ocean and triumphed, a story he would remember for the rest of his life. As the sun colored the sky with shades of pink and orange, creating a peaceful light over the calm waters, Sarah Liddell, Emily Sanders, Rachel DuBois, and Lisa Smith set off on a deep-sea fishing adventure from the coastal town of Hermanus, South Africa. They were excited to escape the busy city life and find excitement and friendship on the sea. Their boat smoothly cut through the peaceful sea, creating a foamy trail behind it. Seagulls flew above in circles, their sad calls mixing with the steady buzz of the engine. With the vast ocean before them, the women's laughter echoed through the air, filling it with excitement and anticipation. As they ventured further from the shore, the scent of salt mixed with the pungent odor of seaweed filled their nostrils with the unique fragrance of the sea. Sarah confidently steered the vessel through shifting currents, skillfully controlling the helm with steady hands. The women stood by the railing, gazing up at the morning sun to feel its warmth on their faces. Their animated voices were filled with excitement as they shared tales of past adventures and talked about future escapades. As time went by, the worries of the world disappeared, and in their place came a feeling of liberation and excitement. As they proceeded further into the sea, they were filled with a feeling of wonder, gazing out at the never-ending expanse of blue beneath them, where each wave was a captivating display of light and darkness. The ocean's immense size made them feel minuscule and unimportant. However, their peaceful daydream was suddenly interrupted by a sudden strong jerk that caused waves of shock to travel through the boat, knocking them off balance. Sarah tightly gripped the wheel as the boat tilted and swayed, the abrupt commotion disturbing the peacefulness of the scene. A massive shadow emerged beneath the water, a 17-foot great white shark, its smooth outline slicing through the water like a predator searching for prey. With a loud splash, the creature emerged from the water, its massive body creating a frightening shadow beneath the boat. Sarah's heart leaped into her throat at the sight of the shark's shiny teeth reflecting the sunlight. Emily felt a chill in her blood as she witnessed a horrifying sight, finding it difficult to grasp the severity of the danger in front of them. The women rushed for safety, their screams muffled by the overpowering sound of the roaring sea. Rachel's trembling hands scrambled for the emergency supplies, struggling with the latch of the storage compartment in a frantic attempt to prepare for the impending danger. While the shark swam menacingly around, focusing its dark eyes on its target, every moment felt frozen, with each heartbeat resonating like a warning of imminent danger. All their instincts told them to escape, but they were stuck, floating in a vast, merciless ocean with no place to escape or hide. At the same time, Lisa remained motionless in stunned silence, her eyes open wide in disbelief while the shark swam around the damaged boat, its gaze locked on its target. Sarah's urgent and commanding tone pierced through the chaos, inspiring her friends to take action. The shark made a sudden attack, easily ripping through the metal hull with its massive jaws. Emily let out a scream when she noticed the boat shaking under her, the noise of the metal tearing reverberating in her ears. Feeling desperate and overwhelmed, the women understood they needed to act quickly. Rachel and Emily hurriedly prepared the inflatable raft as the ship neared sinking, their hands trembling with panic as they secured the sections. While fighting against the relentless attack of the shark, time appeared to come to a standstill. Each noise was amplified, the groan of stressed metal, the crash of frothy waves on the ship, the labored wheezes of their breath as they struggled to survive. Once the raft was put together, the women held onto it tightly, resembling shipwrecked survivors lost at sea in a turbulent storm. The shark moved around them in a manner reminiscent of a vulture, its gaze shining with hunger as it waited for the ideal opportunity to attack. Sarah, her hands shaking, turned on the electronic shark repellent. Sarah clung to the hope that the shark repellent would work as she attached it to the bottom of the inflatable raft. The team observed with anticipation as the shark swam around the raft. As it closed in on the group, they were aware that an attack was imminent. The group looked at one another. If the repellent failed, they understood they would be fish food. After a few minutes of circling the inflatable raft, the shark began to approach. However, as it neared, it suddenly recoiled as though it had bumped into an invisible blockade. It quickly pulled back and began going around the raft once more. After that, it began to advance for a second assault, but hesitated again as though it had collided with the barrier once more. The group was relieved to find out that the repellent was effective. Hours drifted by in a haze of uncertainty and doubt. The sun rose higher in the sky, creating lengthy shadows over the turbulent waves. Tired and freezing, the women gathered closely, using each other's body warmth. Everyone felt sore from the strain of survival. As night fell over the sea like a cloak, a ray of hope emerged in the distance, a tiny spot of light getting bigger as time went by. It was a ship. As they realized that help was near, relief flooded through them like a wave. Right away, Sarah fired a flare that lit up the night sky, alerting the boat for assistance. The rescue boat approached closer, its searchlights piercing the darkness like signals of hope. The women's desperate and grateful voices joined together in a chorus, their cries engulfed by the immensity of the ocean. It wasn't long before the women were being hauled aboard the rescue ship. Shaking hands, they extended their arms to hold on to their rescuers' outstretched arms, bringing their ordeal to a close. Upon returning to solid ground, they held on to one another tightly, resembling shipwreck survivors, with their faces showing signs of fear and trauma from the experience. Looking out at the endless sea, they felt a feeling of gratitude and relief. They went out to sea to unwind from the city's hustle and bustle, but they emerged stronger as individuals and with a friendship strengthened by the ocean. In March 1995, a group of friends gathered for a beach bonfire celebration along the beautiful garden route in South Africa, where laughter, crackling fire, and clinking beer bottles filled the air on a warm summer evening. They had been looking forward to this evening with excitement for weeks. a chance to unwind and enjoy each other's company in the peaceful coastal environment. Tony Reeves, one of the partygoers, had a passion for life that was only equaled by his love of drinking. As the evening progressed and the beverages continued to be served, Tony realized he was getting more drunk by the minute. The surroundings appeared blurred and unsteady as he walked towards the ocean to take a dip and relieve himself. He couldn't even walk in a straight line as he pressed on until his friends' laughter faded into the background. Tony's friends observed with playful smiles as he bravely entered the water, displaying unsteady movements and filling the night with his laughter. They shouted words of encouragement, cheering him on as he vanished into the ocean's dark depths. However, as Tony ventured further into the water, he began to feel a sense of discomfort settling over him, momentarily bringing him back to a serious state. The chill of the ocean was a sharp difference from the heat of the fire nearby, causing him to feel a shiver run down his back. The shift in temperature was a welcome feeling as Tony continued forward with his senses dulled and judgment clouded by alcohol. While Tony was swimming and relaxing, a huge shadow appeared from the deep waters, a dark outline that appeared to form out of the darkness. Tony's laughter abruptly stopped in his throat, frozen in place, with his heart thumping loudly in his chest. As the shadow expanded, it eventually materialized into a 13-foot great white shark, attracted by the disturbance and the smell of urine in the water. Without hesitation, the shark quickly thrust itself forward, clamping its enormous jaws around Tony's leg with bone-crushing force. The sound of pure agony and Tony's scream cut through the night air. Tony's friends frantically tried to understand the chaotic situation unfolding on the beach. They were filled with panic and fear as they witnessed in terror the shark pulling Tony deeper into the ocean, its sharp teeth cutting through his flesh and bone with ruthless precision. Following the initial shock, a frantic rush ensued as everyone on the beach hurried towards the water to assist Tony. They grasped the urgency, realizing they couldn't simply stand by as their friend faced the ruthless predator. Fueled by adrenaline, they sprang into action, their minds racing amidst the overwhelming panic. Alert and quick-thinking, Carl Sanders wasted no time in springing into action. Scanning the beach for any useful tool, he spotted the emergency kit they had brought along. Carl hurriedly seized an underwater flare before rushing to the water to assist in the rescue. At the same time, Bobby Donovan and Ricky Stewart, known for being the best swimmers in the group, took immediate action. Recognizing the severity of the situation, they were ready to take any required steps to save Tony. Along with Bobby and Ricky, Carl hurried into the water, firmly holding onto the flare, his hand shaking with a combination of fear and determination. Using a steady breath, he lit the flare and plunged it into the water, temporarily confusing the shark with its strong brightness. At that critical moment, the predator let go of Tony, giving him the opportunity to escape. Seizing the opportunity, Bobby and Ricky swiftly sprang into action, their powerful strokes propelling them toward Tony. They reached him just as the shark turned back, its primal instincts driving it to pursue the flare as it drifted away from the group. Bobby and Ricky, fueled by desperation, grabbed Tony's limp body with all their might, straining their muscles to drag him back to the shore. The group moved at a frantic pace, knowing well of the constant threat of the shark lurking just below the surface. However, they didn't give in. Their thoughts concentrated entirely on one objective: bringing Tony back to the shore safely. The group on the shore quickly moved to assist in pulling him onto the sandy beach as they arrived safely at the shoreline. His leg injuries were so serious that the flesh was torn and mangled beyond any chance of recognition. Blood mixed with salt water, leaving behind a gruesome path that dyed the coastline in crimson hues. Even when chaos and panic surrounded them, Tony's friends took quick and decisive action, promptly using makeshift tourniquets on his injured leg in a frantic effort to stop the bleeding. Throughout the journey to the hospital, Tony grappled with a mix of agony and confusion. Hours seemed to stretch on as he underwent surgery. With skilled precision, the doctors worked tirelessly to salvage his leg. Finally, a weary surgeon emerged with the solemn news. Tony's leg had been surgically amputated below the knee. With the constant support of his friends, Tony started his journey towards recovery. Even with the challenges he faced, he maintained a resilient attitude. Relearning how to walk with a prosthetic limb, he proceeded cautiously, supported by the care and determination of his friends. Tony came out of his harrowing experience as a resilient survivor, discovering inner strength and a strong bond with his friends, who demonstrated their loyalty by continuing to support him, even at the expense of their safety. Dr. Ann Martinez stood on the research vessel's deck as the sun set, coloring the sky in shades of pink and orange. She took in the salty breeze as it ruffled her hair, taking in the distant calls of seagulls in the air while staring at the expansive sea before her. Ann is a respected marine biologist known for her groundbreaking research on shark behavior. Located at a secluded research center near the shores of South Africa, she had committed her life to uncovering the secrets of the top predators in the ocean. The building was rough, situated on a rocky cliff with a view of the rough waves, a reminder of the tough but alluring marine environment. Ann's anticipation increased as she got ready for another day of fieldwork. It won't be long before she takes another dive into shark-infested territory to closely study their behavior. As she was getting ready, a crackling voice unexpectedly pierced through the radio static. A distress signal from a diver stuck on a distant reef miles away. Ann immediately jumped into action, mobilizing her team for a rescue operation. The reef was famous among divers for its winding paths and dangerous currents, in addition to its rich marine ecosystem that Ann had devoted her life to researching. Even though there were risks involved, Ann couldn't resist answering the call for help. Realizing that someone's life depended on her quick actions, she understood the need to act swiftly. While the research vessel sailed through the rough waters, Ann's heart raced in her chest. Scanning the horizon, she looked for any indication of the stranded diver in the vast ocean. At last, they arrived at the reef, a sharp formation of rocks and coral emerging from the deep like a stone fortress. Ann quickly put on her scuba and survival equipment, ready to dive into the unfamiliar depths. As Ann submerged into the cool water, she met with the eerie calm and view of the depths. Before her, the reef expanded with a mix of colorful fish swimming among the coral formations, creating a lively scene. However, Ann knew that amidst its calm and picturesque facade, the sea harbors lurking threats. While sailing through the cold waters, she felt her heart skip a beat upon spotting the huge figure, a 15-foot great white shark moving smoothly through the sea. Ann was in awe of the apex predator, yet she was keenly aware of its dangerous nature and sharp predatory instincts. Following that, she finally found the exhausted diver grasping onto the rocky ledge, fighting for his life. With a steady hand, Ann continued forward, her attention locked on the diver in distress. She gestured to him, indicating that he should stay calm while she approached, prepared to help in any possible way. However, as Ann approached, she looked over her shoulder and her heart sank when she noticed the shark approaching, its eyes locked on its target. With incredible swiftness, the shark quickly moved forward, opening its mouth wide as it aggressively lunged toward the diver. Ann felt her heart jump into her throat with horror, her mind quickly considering her options. Ann used all her strength and training to act immediately. Using a strong kick, she propelled herself toward the shark, and her movements were smooth and accurate. She aimed to hit the shark's weak snout, a place she believed could immobilize the creature with a powerful enough blow. Ann's foot quickly made contact with the shark's delicate snout. The predator was taken aback. Its movement interrupted as it swerved off course from its target. However, the shark was still determined not to let go of its food. Within moments, the shark swiftly returned, this time with increased speed and aggression. Ann realized the diver was still in danger from the shark's attacks too late. The shark's sharp teeth brutally pierced his leg, causing a disturbing crunch as they tore through flesh and bone. The water became murky with blood, swirling in red wisps as the screams of the diver resonated in the depths. From a place of desperation, the diver kicked the shark over and over with his remaining leg. The shark pulled back once more and swam in a different direction, leaving the diver's legs severely mangled and torn to shreds. Ann's heart pounded as she watched the harrowing scene unfold, a sense of urgency gripping her. Time was running out and disaster loomed. Summoning every ounce of courage, Ann darted towards the injured diver, her hands trembling as she reached for her emergency medical kit. With swift, precise movements, she retrieved a length of gauze and a tourniquet, working swiftly to stem the flow of blood from the gaping wound. However, while trying to rescue the diver, Ann was aware that they were still at risk. The smell of blood permeated the water, acting as a signal that would draw in additional sharks to their spot over time. Fueled by determination and the will to survive, Anne lifted the injured diver onto her back, his weight dragging her down as she battled against the strong current. Using all her strength, she tried to drag the injured diver towards the safety of the rocks. But their movement was slow due to the inability of the diver to move on his own. As they moved closer to the formation of jagged rocks, Anne's biggest fears came true. The water appeared to darken around them, with more shadowy figures emerging from the depths. The smell of blood filled the water, causing the sharks to act on their primal instincts and move toward their exposed target in a frenzy. Anne's heart raced in her chest while she struggled to keep the injured diver above water, her mind filled with a strong feeling of determination. She was aware that their sole chance relied on getting to the research ship's safety before it was too late. They were in a race against time to survive against nature's unforgiving forces. Using all her strength and determination, Anne pushed forward. Her muscles ached and burned in protest of the effort she was exerting. However, as they approached the rock's refuge, the sharks advanced towards them, swiftly cutting through the water with alarming quickness. Anne sensed their presence hiding just below the surface, a primal intuition signaling the imminent threat encircling them. With a surge of adrenaline, Anne kicked with all her might, her arms straining with the effort as she propelled them towards the outcrops. The world around her seemed to blur as she reached the safety of terra firma. Anne hauled the injured diver onto the jagged rocks and climbed beside him. She immediately sent a flare beacon to signal the ship of their location. It wasn't long before the vessel cut through the waters and imposed itself upon the two survivors. The crew immediately retrieved and brought them aboard the ship. But even as they clung to the safety of the research vessel, Anne knew that their ordeal was far from over. The injured diver lay pale and motionless on the deck, his life hanging in the balance as Anne worked frantically to stabilize his condition. As the boat sped toward the safety of the shore, Anne's mind raced with a mix of adrenaline and concern. The diver lay unconscious beside her, his face pale and strained from the ordeal. She quickly assessed his injuries, applying pressure to the wound on his leg to stem the flow of blood. The wounded diver was lying still and pale on the deck, his life at risk. As the boat hurried towards the safety of the shore, Anne's thoughts were filled with a combination of adrenaline and worry. Speedily, she evaluated his wounds and put pressure on the gash on his leg to stop the bleeding. The research vessel raced toward the nearest port as the crew radioed for help and requested an ambulance to stand by at the port to swiftly transport the diver to a medical facility. Finally, the distant silhouette of the dock came into view. Anne breathed a sigh of relief as the ship pulled alongside the dock, eager hands reaching out to assist with the wounded diver. As they transferred him onto a stretcher, Anne whispered a silent prayer. She was thankful to be alive, but she was more thankful to be of help to a person in distress amidst forces of nature that no man can control.